to make sure that if the filter is not working, we can get it fixed, we can get it replaced, a unit goes out, because this wouldn't be a time to have folks in the classroom where the filtration is not working.
Yes, of course. We have 65,000 pieces of mechanical equipment on any given day. 200 to 1,000 of them break down, which is a little less than 1%. And so we have those 120 technicians on 24-hour call. We have a full bench of contractors that are also ready to be on call. And to supplement that effort, if the repair isn't an immediate repair and we've committed to a 24-hour turnaround, we've purchased 1,000 HEPA quality, which is like MERV 16, standalone air filters that the the air conditioning technicians will be carrying with them, so they can just drop that in the room, plug it in while they work on the broken down air conditioner, so the air filtration constantly happens.
Got it. That sounds fantastic. Now, Dr. Baca, this is a pop quiz for you. So I'm assuming, as we think about the instructional programs, that if the filtration were out in a room for the day, students will be in a different room while it's being done in that 24-hour cycle. So there's going to be no circumstance where we'll have students and staff in a room where the filtration isn't working properly. Am I correct?
That's right. So we've identified all kinds of alternate spaces that can be utilized, looking at other options, bringing different tents and or just being ready for any situation to be able to accommodate students and teachers to make sure that instruction, teaching, and learning continues.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Luna, Dr. Luna, one of the questions we also get asked, because our students with differences and disabilities, we know the absence from the school setting has been as hard on them and their families as any students we serve, and we're excited for them to come back in the safest way possible. Tell us a little bit about how that might work, because for some students, the proximity to their teacher, their aide, is closer by the definition of the work, the nature of the work. How will we strike that balance? How will we keep staff safe? And how are we going to make sure we provide the support to students?
Sure. So we're going to make sure that all our teachers and our staff in the classrooms have the appropriate PPE. They'll have specialized PPE needed, such as face shields, gowns, and gloves. We're also going to ensure they receive special training from our medical teams for protocols so that everyone can stay safe during physical therapy, feeding, toileting, etc. And we're also going to provide plexiglass. So we'll have plexiglass dividers for when we're conducting assessments so that we maintain a safe environment for everyone.
Good. And then we'll train everyone on how to use these, so we'll do all that.
Definitely, we'll have protocols for all of these things.
Dr. Baca, I know as we work through how we bring students safely onto a campus, into a classroom, keep them in small, stable cohorts so that if by chance a student contracted the virus, they wouldn't spread it to the whole school. We try to isolate risk and keep it from spreading. How will that work? How will a student come to school? If someone is ill during the course of the day, it could be a flu, it could be a COVID, it could be anything. How will we make sure that we quickly and safely isolate them? So just tell me a little bit about the student's journey into the school, and then once they're at school, how we can respond if for some reason they're not feeling well.
Well, that's where tools like the Daily Pass come in. Parents and students will answer the health check questions before they get to school, and they'll have their temperature taken when they arrive, and we'll provide COVID tests to everyone at the school sites every week. We'll also work with our principals and community of school administrators to do outreach on the importance of following safety guidelines like wearing a mask and staying home if you're sick. We have lots of measures in place to keep the virus from coming into the schools, but if someone does test positive, our contact tracers will notify everyone who may have come into contact with the individual. Students in that cohort will be notified to stay home in quarantine and will be connected to health resources. Students who are not in that cohort with the individual with the virus will also be notified that they may continue to come to school. If someone starts to feel unwell during the day or shows any symptoms, they'll be taken to an isolation room and kept away from others until they can be picked up and taken home.
Okay. Okay. Now, a couple of things just to make sure I understand the details. So this Daily Pass, I could get on my phone. I could use on my computer at home. I could bring it with the QR code and scan, where you'll take my temperature at the school to get in, right? Or I could print out that QR code and give it to my child to take to school. Or if I didn't have access to a smartphone or a printer, you'd be able to do it for me in person at the school. So different routes to school, all families, all students will be accommodated the same way.
That's right. Multiple options to meet the need of every family with the goal of us being as prepared and safe as possible.
So when I show up with this, that QR code, I can, just like I'm going to a Dodger game, I guess, you can scan me right in, you take my temperature check, it takes 15 seconds. If I had to answer the questions with you, do all the paperwork there, it sounds like it might take me a couple, 3 minutes times 100 students could be a long time. Is that right? That's the whole idea of the thing?
That's right. It's a game changer. Again, as speedy as possible, ensuring safety and meeting the needs of every family.
So Pia, one of the questions I have, Dr. Baca mentioned COVID testing at schools. Tell me a little about what that looks like, how often, what standards, how's it done?
So our partners from Microsoft help us develop the Daily Pass. So families, students, employees can schedule their COVID-19 test using the Daily Pass. They'll receive reminder notices using the Daily Pass, and they'll also get to view those test results using the Daily Pass. We've also partnered with world-class leaders such as Microsoft, as I mentioned, and different organizations and partners such as Stanford, UCLA, and Johns Hopkins, Anthem, HealthNet, and Cedars-Sinai. And what we're doing is making sure that all students and staff on campus will receive a free PCR COVID-19 test every week to make sure that everyone on campus is safe and free of the virus.
And so we've listened carefully to these science partners for, I think we started working back in last June of 2020, to help us design the program. And as they give us counsel or advice, we try to incorporate the latest scientific thinking into the work we're doing, whether it is the MERV 13 filters, the COVID testing, the vaccinations, the ionized cleaning, or all of the other components. So it's really listening to what science tells us and trying to put that into practice at schools. I want to thank all of you. I think this has been extraordinary. I learn something every time we have this conversation. And I think my takeaway is we're trying to set the best possible standard. As we learn something new, as we learned from Mr. Lawton, we can make it better, we're going to make it better. If we see it happening differently somewhere that's better than our practice, we're going to immediately try to adapt that standard as quickly as possible. But we're confident that we exceed what the CDC's told us to do by a fair margin, and we're going to continue to do that.
Okay. All right, Ms. Matthews, do we have any questions? Maybe this is a good time to see if we have any questions in the chat and see if there's anything I can answer.
Yeah, there's a couple. One I think was addressed in the video about will the filters be MRF?
Mhm.
And then there's a question about parent volunteers. You know, if the parent's been vaccinated and has passed the volunteer, you know, the live scan, are they going to be allowed to help at school?
That hasn't actually been addressed specifically, but I would say that if a parent is able to pass the daily screening, has been tested and is negative or even vaccinated, that we would be able to, they would have access to campus. Because right now, in order to have access to campus, you need to be able to pass the daily health screening questions. And part of the screening involves, you know, that you have a negative test or you've been vaccinated. And then, of course, the regular policy, district policy in regards to fingerprinting, those guidelines are met.
Okay, another question is, says, so the restrooms will be cleaned and disinfected twice a day. I know many businesses clean the restrooms every hour. This concerns this parent because we know that not everyone washes their hands after using the restroom, especially children. So I guess the question is about how often are the restrooms cleaned, actually.
So my understanding is that our restrooms will be cleaned hourly and then they will be disinfected in the evening. And they might be disinfected between the cohorts. So disinfected and then cleaning hourly.
Okay. Another question is, how is the COVID test administered to children? Is it nasal, swab, or is there an alternative?
You know, I believe, I was told they could also do a saliva for children.
Okay, that's a good, I mean, we
That-
can certainly find that out for
Yes.
you and get back to you on that.
But I do believe saliva is an option.
Okay, this is one that we might be able to, we'll be answering, I guess, later on in
Okay.
the presentation is, are there any noticeable changes that kids are going to be seeing in the classrooms?
Definitely the, the side, there aren't going to be as many tables and there's going to be a lot more space in the classrooms for sure. And I do have some pictures that I'll be sharing, with you all later on in the presentation in regards to what our classrooms are going to look like, because that's what we're in the process of doing right now, getting our classrooms ready.
Will classrooms keep doors and windows open during class?
Yes.
What will the isolation room look like?
So
And-
it will either be, the district has provided us with tents, and also we do have classes that are not being utilized, but we have not yet designated specifically what will be our isolation room until we know the number of students that will be returning, because that will determine the spaces or classrooms that will be used. So we have ideas, but we have not yet decided specifically until we have more information in regards to the number of students that we will have on campus.
Okay, there's a lot of questions coming in. I don't know if you want to.
I'll go ahead and we'll stop here and I'll continue, and maybe some of those questions will be addressed, and then we'll stop at another point, but all good questions.
Yeah, they are good.
So what you're seeing here is that every school site has a school report card that is accessible to the public, and we have to have these things in place. And so these are health and safety practices at our schools, and our school has a report card, and we have checked off which standards we we are compliant with. So in regards to the safety measures, our use of face masks, physical distancing, do we have small student cohorts? Are the classroom layouts compliant in regards to the number of desks that we can have according to the square footage of the classrooms? Do we have signage and reminders in regards to hand washing and hygiene? Is the air quality in the classrooms going back to the filters in place? Cleaning and disinfecting schedules, is that being monitored and implemented? Are we doing the health screening at the entrances? Do we have all of our PPE and supplies on site? Are our staff and students COVID testing? And also our school staff vaccinated? So these are all things that are on the school report card, and again, available for the public to view. And these are the things that we need to have in place. And it is also posted. Okay, the next thing that we'd like to talk about, and it's very important, is regard to the program selection, and there is a timeline. There is a new Return to Campus Family Guide that was put out, and you can access that on the school district website, lausd.net. And it's called Return to Campus Family Guide, and it's the spring edition for 2021. The district is asking that during the week of March 11th through March 19th, that you complete the program selection form for your child. And March 19th is a deadline. So we will ask all families to make one selection for each child submitting the online program selection form. And I believe Ms. Matthews also put the link to the program selection form in the chat for you. It is reopening.lausd.net/family selection. And again, you can complete the form online and submit it online. And it is crucial that we do have this information because this is the information that we're going to use to form classes for return to campus in April. I want you to note that you can, again, complete the form online. And if the form is not completed, then it will default to online. It will default to online. Now, parents will have the option of making a different selection after 2 weeks. If you need any help with completing the program selection form, please give us a call here at the office and we can help walk you through that. So again, the Return to Campus Family Guide is available. And here is the link that you can go to, http://reopening.lausd.net Family Guide. It does go through more details in regards to what it will look like for the reopening of school. Okay, any other questions?
Oh, yes, Ms. Miller, we have a lot of questions. So, and this kind of goes back to what you're talking about as far as selection, because I think people feel like they need more information before they make their selections. A question is if the child stays with online learning, I assume we won't keep our current teacher or class. Would my child's teacher be from SOEC or from another LAUSD school?
I don't have the answer to that. Again, that's going to depend on the program selection from families and how many families choose online learning. In organizing classes, our goal is to keep our students with their current teacher, but I cannot guarantee that. Again, it's going to depend on the responses from our families. And yes, it's a possibility, if that's the question, that if all of our families or the majority of families want their children to return to in-person and we only have a small pod of students that are families that are requesting online learning, and we don't have that option here because the majority is doing distance learning, that might look differently.
Okay, can you explain a little bit more how the classes will work? If we pick online, do they only get class time from 8 to 11 or 12 to 2, or does the full day of school stay if you select online?
Okay, I'm going to get to that because the hybrid will look differently.
Okay. Will there be recess? Will kids be on the yard?
There will be a 20-minute, yes, there will be a 20-minute recess time. Break/recess. No lunch, there will be no lunch period. Students will receive a sack lunch to take home. But there will be no going to the cafeteria to have lunch.
Will there be valet drop-off?
At this point, we're not looking at having any valet.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. You're going to be addressing COVID tests, I think, later on.
Mm-hmm.
How many students in a class?
So based on the square footage for our TK, kinder, first, second, and third grade, we will have the most students that we can have are 12. And in upper grade, it is 14. That's fourth and fifth grade. 14 students per cohort.
Okay, I think this is a good place to break.
Okay. Well, let me go to our next slide. I already mentioned that you want to make sure that you fill out your selection that is due to March 19th. And again, it's critical to have that information so that we can plan our classes. Again, you're going to be selecting which program you would like for your child to participate in when students are able to physically return to campus. If available, and this is also important information that they're asking, would you have your child participate in on-site supervised care in a hybrid model when they are not receiving direct instruction? So the district is asking for that information. If your child is eligible for school bus transportation, and this it more refers to students that are going to a magnet program, or maybe they ride the bus because they have an IEP, an individualized education program. Do you anticipate using LAUSD transportation? That is also information that needs to be considered. Also, part of the questionnaire is they want parent input in regards to the 2021-2022 school calendar, because that's looking a little differently. When you do fill out the program selection form, you will need your child's 10-digit student ID number to complete the selection form. You can find that ID number on the parent portal, or you can check your child's recent progress report card for that 10-digit ID number, or you can call the district hotline at 213-443-1300. And I see Mrs. Matthews there typing away and putting it in the chat. Or you can call us here at school. Our school office is open and we can give you that 10-digit number. As I mentioned in regards, students may move from hybrid to online only at any point. So students may move from online only to hybrid at specified times. So again, if your child starts in hybrid in person and you decide that it's not working for your child and you would like them to continue with remote learning, you can request that move at any time. But the other way, if your child begins with remote learning or is continuing, there are only specific times that during the year that they will be able to move to in person, because that will impact, and we have to look at our class sizes and where there is space. So again, changes to the selection will be based on available space to ensure consistent cohorts for those selecting hybrid. Families will be given the option to switch schedules every 2 weeks. So there's the timeline there, every 2 weeks. Again, make sure when you look at the family guide, look at the program selection, read through the information and review the guide carefully before you make your selection. And again, if families do not submit a selection, by default, students will be placed in an online program. Okay. This is the calendar the 2 calendars that are being considered for the next school year. So what you see for option 1, the school year would start 5 days earlier. So we would start August 10th. And we would go through December 17th, and we would have a 2-week winter recess. We currently get a 3-week winter recess. And then the second semester would start up again on January the 3rd, and the end of the school year would end on June 10th, 2022. Option 2, the school year would start 10 days earlier. So we would start school August 3rd, and we would go through December 17th, but we would get the 3-week winter recess. The second semester would begin on January the 10th and then end on June 10th. So those are the 2 calendars that are being considered for the upcoming school year. So they are asking for parent input. Okay, now here is the sample of what is being proposed schedule. So if you could, we would have 2 cohorts. We would have cohort A in the morning, cohort B in the afternoon. We are looking at 3-hour blocks, and it would be staggered according to grade level. So right now we are looking at that TK, kindergarten and first grade would come to school in the morning from 8 to 11. That would be cohort A. And cohort B for those specific grade levels would be 12 to 3. And then there would be an hour between the two cohorts so that there could be cleaning and disinfecting between the cohorts. For second and third grade, it would be a 15-minute staggered schedule. So for second and third grade, their day in the morning, if they are in cohort A, would begin at 8:15 and end at 11:15. And the afternoon, the cohort B would begin at 12:15 and the end of the day would be 3:15. And then lastly, for fourth and fifth grade, their day would begin at 8:30 and would end at 11:30. That would be for cohort A in the morning. And then in the afternoon for cohort B, their day would begin at 12:30 and end at 3:30. And that would be whether they are doing in person or online. And you see that that would be happening in the afternoon. Again, that would depend on the numbers. Monday, the day would be 30 minutes shorter. Dismiss, as you see there at the bottom, it says Monday dismissal will be 30 minutes earlier to allow for teacher trainings. And so that would just be on Monday. Let's see, okay. That's a lot of information. A lot of information. And again, here they're just showing you one specific block, 8 to 11, 12 to 3. Again, we would be staggering our grade levels. We have formed a compliance task force team. So right now what the team has discussed, there would be different entry points into the school for each grade level. And students would be dismissed through the same gates that they enter in the morning. So, and that's what the plan that we are currently working and developing. And I will be sharing more information with you once we solidify our plan. But right now there will be 6 gates that will be opened, and it will be for certain grade levels. And again, it's going to be critical that we have that daily pass so that it's efficient in getting our kids in. So more information to come in regards to what it will look like bringing our kids back to school. You want any questions, Mrs. Matthews, or do you want me to go on? Or did I answer maybe some of those?
Well, I think one's coming up. Someone was asking about, they downloaded the Power app so they could access the daily pass, but there's an issue accessing the daily pass. It's telling them to enter a work or school email, but she doesn't have one for LAUSD.
Okay.
I believe it's the same email that you use for the parent portal. I think that's the right answer, but I think that's how you are how you would register. So if you have your email for the parent.
So again, for parents, in order to register for the daily pass, you must be registered on the parent portal first, or you won't be able to register on the daily pass. So you need to make sure that you are registered on the parent portal. And if you have questions, give us a call right after our presentation here, and we can help you with that.
Okay.
And just also, let's see. We do have a meeting for parents. If you are not registered on the parent portal and do need help with that, there will be a meeting on March the 22nd at 3:30, and Ms. Reinhardt, our computer teacher, will be doing a tutorial and helping parents register on the parent portal so that you can get access to the daily pass. So again, that's Monday, March the 22nd at 3:30. Thank you, Ms. Matthews. I see that you're putting that in there.
That parent portal support.
Yes, not to be confused with Parent Square, two totally different platforms.
Okay, sorry, let me just go back. There was a good question that I think will SOEC be a testing site since the kids need to be tested frequently?
I believe the superintendent's goal is to have a testing site at each, to eventually have a testing site at each school.
Okay, and is it possible that in-person students will be reorganized with a different teacher? And will students be, okay, that's one question.
Okay.
Did
Well, it's hard to say. Actually, well, our teachers are returning back to the classroom. If we're going to keep their students with that teacher, if I'm going to say, if Mrs. Miller has a class of 20 and I have 10 kids that are going to, parents have chosen in person, I am going to put those 10 kids with Mrs. Miller. I can accommodate 12 in my classroom. So our goal, again, of course, is to keep our students with their teacher. That is our goal.
Okay. Will students be receiving direct instruction in person or online with the students using the computers, like the upper grades? I'm not sure I understand that.
I'm not sure I understand the question. The teachers will not be doing simultaneously in-person teaching and while kids at home are Zooming and watching. I mean, if I understood that correctly.
Yeah, maybe if you
And
want
maybe you can rephrase
Yeah.
that question so that I can provide an answer if I can.
If a family opts to stay virtual and then returns after 2 weeks, will they be returning to their original class? Will returning to their original class be an option?
If there is space.
And I think we're going to be addressing this coming up, where the COVID tests administered on campus or offsite.
So our testing site that is nearest to our school is Roy Romer High School.
Okay. This is a little confusing. I think someone's responding to somebody else. Hold on. The people, there's a couple people asked about some options. I'm not really sure what the question was. Oh, they're talking, oh. Okay, yeah, they're talking about the choices they're making. Oh, that a choice is, they want to make sure we say that, I think I'm saying this right, that there's a choice for you not to return, that's another choice that you have. I think I read that right. That's another choice. It can be that you're not returning to school, or that is a choice that you're going to be remote. Or maybe that just means you're not coming back at all. I'm not clear
on that question.
If a third grader went to the afternoon cohort, do they have any instruction in the morning?
I said, read that one more time, please.
There's a third grader who's in the afternoon cohort. Do they have morning instruction at all? Is there anything happening in the morning, or is their school day only the afternoon?
It's the 3 hours. They have 3 hours of instruction.
Okay.
And then what? Yeah.
So how do they learn as much as they need in only 3 hours? Because right now they're 9 to 2.
So the coming back, one of the main focus is going to be the social emotional piece for our students. And we're going to do math. We're going to focus on math, and we're going to focus on English language arts, but more so the social emotional piece. Of course, the teacher will provide asynchronous work for students to do, homework, in the afternoon or in the morning, depending on the cohort that they're in.
Okay.
It's going to be a little differently. It's going to be different. Yes.
Different. We'll end with this one for now. Are the sanitizer products used non-chemical or chemical?
I don't have an answer for that, but definitely we can find out what products that they're using.
And I'll respond to you. Since your name is on here, I'll be able to respond to you
Yes.
directly.
Uh-huh.
And actually, if I botched any of those questions or answers, yeah, just clarify and let me know. It's hard in the chat. I don't know if you want to continue, Mrs. Miller, for a little bit, and then
Okay, we'll go on through in regards to what it's looking like. This, of course, is not our school, but just an example in regards, because it shows here the signage, the plexiglass that we've received. We have put some of the plexiglass in our front office. This is one of our classrooms. This is an upper grade classroom. It has it can accommodate 14 students. So this is what our 4th and 5th grade classrooms look like now. So we are done with our 4th and 5th grade classrooms, and today we just finished with our 2nd and 3rd grade classrooms that are in the primary building. And we'll be starting with 1st grade classes tomorrow. So that's what we've been busy doing, moving furniture out and spacing everything 6 feet apart. Also, I wanted just to share the air filters, as superintendent mentioned, have been upgraded to the MERV 13 filters. And on the left-hand side is an example of what classrooms would look like. And of course, it's 1 student per desk. And if it's the longer desk, we would have signage there that no one is to sit on that side. And this is our school office currently. We have our daily health screening questions posted outside the door. We have our 3S for safety on the go also posted. You can't see the plexiglass there real clear, but there's a plexiglass right there at the entryway. And then there's our SAA, Anna, and she's taking my temperature so that I can have access to campus. So our school office is currently open from 8 to 4. All right, so there will be every entry gate that is open for our students in the morning. We'll have a health check-in station, and every day before entering the school or district office, students and staff will complete a health check-in. And as required by the LA County Department of Public Health, this check-in will require students and staff to answer a set of daily health check questions to make sure that they are feeling well before they pass through the entrance. Students can answer the questions on the poster at the check-in station, or they could submit their child's responses using the online daily pass. So again, we encourage the use of the daily pass, because that is going to be the most efficient way to get students onto the campus, in a fast manner. Otherwise, it's going to take a while to get everybody onto campus if we have to stop and ask them those questions. So again, as an alternate to answering the questions on the poster, students ages 13 years and over can complete the daily pass health check online. Parents also have the option to complete the online daily health check for students 12 years and younger. The daily pass can be accessed on a computer, a mobile device, and you can go to dailypass.lausd.net. After you log on, you're going to answer the questions and you're going to press submit. And if cleared to enter campus, students will receive a QR code like the one that's shown here in the photo. If the student has a QR code, they will show it at the check-in area. We will have a scanner to scan that QR code. And you can also print it out if your child is not bringing a phone to school. This is probably more for your middle school and high school, but you can print out the QR code at home, and then you just show it to the school staff when they arrive. So after your, I'm sorry, go ahead.
If there are any issues with the daily pass
Mhm.
or the app and all of that, would that be the district hotline number that you can call? Is that, I
Yes.
see there's still some questions about that, and that's where I think I would refer you to call.
Yes, so yeah, and they were very good. I had a couple of questions and I did call. So that's the 213 number, 443-1300, and they can help you. That is the helpline, and they're open till 6 in the evening. They open at 6 in the morning, and that's Monday through Saturday.
Thanks.
No problem. After our students share the daily pass and answer the screening questions, a school staff member will check your child's temperature using a no contact thermometer. And of course, students who are not feeling well or who have a temperature greater than 99.9 degrees Fahrenheit will need to go home, and all others will enter the school campus. And we have received all of our thermometers. So anyone who visits the school will also be required to undergo a health check before entering the school. Visitors will answer the daily health check questions and also have their temperature taken. We will require visitors to wear their face masks while on campus and also to maintain social distancing guidelines. And so there are a lot of things that and steps that we ask that you start to take with your child, and maybe you already have to prepare them. So we want to make sure that, number one, that you schedule a COVID-19 test for your child and have them practice wearing a face mask properly and for, an extended period of time. Reminding them that, to maintain appropriate social distancing from others, reminding them that they're going to be washing their hands thoroughly and very, very often. And, we're here to help in any way that we can. So if you need any help with scheduling a COVID-19 test or helping your child with any of these health and safety practices, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. So yes, schedule a COVID-19 test. Let's make sure that they're wearing their face mask properly. They maintain social distance and washing their hands often. Also, something that's not mentioned in here and that I just thought of, also having their own water bottle. They will not have access to the drinking fountains. Those have been turned off. The district is provided bottled water, and that is already in the classrooms, but also having their own water bottle would be helpful. Again, as I mentioned, you can schedule your appointment and through the Daily Pass and the closest site. And they have a Saturday appointments as well. I usually go on Saturdays, is Roy Romer Middle School, and it's on Laurel Canyon in North Hollywood. And of course, we continue to also post any information that we're receiving on our school website. I've also have here our office number, and here is my email as well. If you have any questions, please email me directly. And again, I do want to remind you about the 2 town hall meetings that will take place on Monday at 3 o'clock and on Tuesday, the 16th at 6 o'clock in the evening. All right. And Mrs. Matthews, do we have any other questions?
There's a question. I'm not sure what they're referring to. Will you be explaining the supervised activities a little further?
Is that in regards to like the recess time?
I'm not sure, so maybe that person can let us know. Do you expect most of our parents to come back in person, or do you think more are going to stay online?
Good question. And your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. I've had some parents that, have mentioned, yes, they're bringing their child and they're excited for schools to open, and other parents that, would prefer for their child to continue with remote learning, but I don't have a sense of more or less. I have no idea. When I see the kids during Zoom classes, I sense that they might be excited to return to class, to school. So we're working and meeting with our teachers in regards to the teachers will be reaching out and also meeting with parents in regards to, our first day when we get that definite day and what it's going to look like, where they're going to meet their students. Kindergarten, they've never even set foot on our campus. So we're also looking at arranging a practice day before we actually start, because it's probably going to be a little scary for them. But there's a lot of planning involved, but it will make it a lot easier to plan once we know what the numbers are and we organize our classes. And we're looking forward to opening our doors and welcoming our students back and our families.
And how can we access the link to the recording of this meeting?
I am going to post, oh, good question. And I almost forgot to record it. I will post it on our school website, and I will also put the link on Parent Square. And I will also put it on our SOEC digital library where we post our morning announcements.
How can we change our answers on the questionnaire if we've already submitted it?
Good question. Did that person put their name
Yeah.
on there, Hope? Okay, so we'll take that question as well, and we'll get that answer to you.
Okay. So the school intends for children to receive in-person instruction from their regular teacher if the kids return to school.
Yes.
Okay. Will siblings be in the same cohort or time slot?
Yes, definitely. We are going to, absolutely, that we will keep yes, they will be in the same cohort. We won't separate them unless a parent requests. We will do our best to honor those requests, but I think it would be easier, yes, to keep them in the same cohort.
If they're going online only, is the schedule the same as the in-person mornings or afternoon session? Also, if online only, will they be more likely to be with the same teacher?
That's going to depend on our numbers.
If our teacher is going to be in person, will they be in person for both groups A and B, or will they do one online group and one in-person group?
Well, that would depend on, again, the numbers. So if Mrs. Miller has 24 students and all 24 want to return to in-person, want to return to school, then I would have all 24 of my kids. I would have 12 in the morning and 12 in the afternoon.
So the hybrid model means that kids are on campus 5 days a week.
They're on campus 5 days a week, yes.
Will there be a choice for parents to decide to keep the rest of the year virtual for their child?
Yes.
What is the best option so that we can keep our teacher?
You're not going to like my answer, but you don't have any control over that. Again, it's going just to depend on each individual family and what they feel is best for their child, and depends on the numbers.
By the way, I'm just noticing, I guess people are putting questions also in the Q&A. So I'm going through the chat right now. I haven't gone to the Q&A yet, but I'll get there. There's the question again about the sanitizer products. We'll get back to you and let you know the answer to that.
So I know there's specific guidelines in regards to chemicals and sanitizing products that can be used, on a school site.
Okay, it says middle and high schools are having students sit in their advisory classes and attend classes virtually from that site.
Mhm.
Will this be the case at the elementary level?
No, it's different for secondary.
If teachers are in school teaching in class, who's teaching online on Zoom?
Well, if you looked at the schedule, the Zoom is in the afternoon, and that would be another teacher. If you're doing virtual, only virtual. Again, our teachers would not be doing online and Zooming simultaneously. It's one or the other.
How are they going to have time between cohorts to fog all the rooms and let them air out enough?
That's the plan. And if I understood from the video, right now, I believe the fogging is with the electric static sprayer is being done in the evening because that takes longer for it to dissipate. But they're looking at another chemical to use that dissipates faster that they could use in between the cohorts. So it would be disinfecting, but it would look differently in between the cohorts. And again, it would not be our current on-site custodial staff. That is a separate crew that is being provided to the schools whose sole function would be to disinfect.
Okay, and I think we answered this. If they choose remote and they change their mind, can the child return to school?
Yes.
Okay, now I'm seeing, oh, clarification. Okay, so that conversation about the choices had to do with the extension of the school year. Thanks for, so I think everybody figured that out.
Okay.
If we're focusing on social emotional with the hybrid version, does that mean the online option is only 3 hours with less than current instruction?
Mm.
I'm not sure I understand.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Want to, clarify that. Sorry. Let's see. Will students have plexiglass on their desks?
No, they will not. The recommendation is not to put plexiglass on the student desks because that would inhibit the airflow in the classroom. So they want the air to be to continue to move through the classroom. So the recommendation is not to put plexiglass on student desks and to keep the windows and doors open. And then again, with the fan running. They did talk about putting plexiglass on student desks earlier in the module that we watched, but that was in reference to when you have, for example, a speech therapist that is assessing a student and you have to have that close proximity, there might be plexiglass put between the therapist and the student. Or if they're giving a speech therapy or occupational therapy. So in that instance, there would be plexiglass.
Looks like a couple questions about childcare. And also can students stay after their cohort is done to do asynchronous work on campus?
So again, that question is presented in the program selection form. So that is the information that is needed. They want to see how many students or families are needing a child care when the child is done with their cohort. And then so that we are able to provide, beyond the bell resources for the child care. And then they would look at to see if we would have the spacing on our campus. So again, going back to the importance of filling out the program selection so that we know what services we need to provide. But that is something that the district is looking at provided if needed.
this is, I'm not sure, they're asking about the rate of exchange of air in the classrooms. How do they find that out?
The rate,
Rate of
okay,
exchange of air, I'm not sure.
we will get that
Yeah.
information to you, or at least the person that you can contact to get that answer.
And will students still receive instructions in special areas? I think they maybe mean outside of social emotional, I think.
Oh, okay. I was thinking also, you know,
There.
we have our enrichment classes as well. So we don't know yet what that will look like. You know, they're not looking at having teachers, like enrichment teachers, rove into classrooms. So we're not sure if the enrichment teachers would continue to, for right now, our enrichment teachers are going to continue with virtual, with remote teaching as they're doing right now, even if the students are in class. Because they would not be going from room to provide services, but we want them to continue receiving their enrichment, our music, our art, our science.
Okay. How will young students show their codes, or will we have hundreds of parents walking with their children to the door?
No. You can print out the code. You can print out their little, their print, you can print out their code. Again, if you don't have access to a printer, and yet, of course, they're small and they don't have their phone, we would ask them their questions. And then we have access to looking at the Daily Pass dashboard to see if the child's, you know, cleared to come onto campus. That would be quite timely, but that's what we would have to do.
There's a question about long-term side effects with the forehead temperature check. If there are long-term side effects, I don't know the answer to that. We probably could steer you in the direction of someone in nursing that could talk to you about that. How about, like, if a kid doesn't feel well when they're at school, what happens?
So depending on, you know, they would be taken to an isolation room or designated place, and we would contact a parent.
Are we going to be allowed to pack snacks for kids? The answer to that is yes. I heard that.
Yes.
You are. COVID testing for kids, is it going to be weekly when we're back at school, or do kids need a test before they return to campus?
They do need, again, they do need to test before coming onto campus. They need that clearance. So you need to do that at least 7 days before the start date of school. And the plan is weekly.
Okay. All right, I was going to move over to my Q&A. Is the district planning to move forward with standardized testing?
As of right now, yes.
If there's only 12 kids that choose to come in person, could they all come in the morning? And won't their regular teacher teach virtually to the rest of the class in the afternoon?
That would be a possibility. So if only 12 of my students want to do in-person learning, they would come in the morning. And then depending on, again, I mean, there's a lot of scenarios. So yes, the teacher could be doing virtual in the afternoon, or there may be overflow of students from another grade level that we would put with that teacher in the afternoon.
If I'm choosing virtual learning, am I going to be getting the same amount of instructional time than if I'm on campus?
Yes.
If too many people pick morning or afternoon for the hybrid to allow people to stay with their teacher, like let's say everybody chooses they want AM, can there be an option to reassess in case people could switch to the other group and balance out the numbers and allow the kids to stay with their current teacher?
Can you summarize that for me?
I think what they're saying is if everybody chooses that they want AM with Mrs. Smith,
Okay.
24 of them,
Mhm.
instead of them, okay, I was thinking they're
You mean they all want the morning?
that they're going to lose their teacher if too many people want to be with their teacher at the same time.
So let me, okay, so if your child is in kindergarten, first, second, or third grade, the norm for those classes, we can only have 24. That's the highest. That's the norm for K1, TK, K1, 2, and 3. The good news is all of those classrooms can accommodate 24 students, 12 in the AM, 12 in the PM. So there would be no going to another teacher. Let me say that again. TK, kinder, first, second, and third grade. The norm for those classrooms is 24 students. Our teachers cannot hold more than 24. None of my classrooms right now have more than 24 students in TK, kinder, first, second, or third. If all those families said, we want our students to return, they would have the same teacher, but some would come in the morning and some would come in the afternoon. That's where I'm going to need parent cooperation. If I have parents that start saying, oh, I need morning, oh, we all need morning, then, you know, we have a problem. Then we have to reorganize, but there's plenty of room. It just will be, some will be in the morning, 12 will be in the morning, 12 will be in the afternoon. Upper grade, the norm for upper grade is 36. We can only accommodate 28. That's for the 14 desks. So that's might be, and if all of my families decided to come back for in-person, that's where we would have to juggle. Maybe, because right now, none of my 4th or 5th grade classes have 36 students. I have some sitting at 23. I have another one sitting at 30. So again, it would depend on how many families are choosing the option of in-person and how many are remote. But for TK, kinder, first, second, or third, it looks pretty good in regards to that our students would be able to stay with their teacher.
If half of a teacher's class chooses, if only half choose to return, what does the teacher do for the other half of the day? Who does she teach?
So if in a perfect world, my class, half my class, 12 of my families want to return, I would teach in person in the morning, and the other half chose to do virtual, then I would teach virtual in the afternoon to those students.
So students will be taking their masks off to eat snacks in classrooms?
Or, well, we're going to have our students, the teacher can bring them outside and they can sit as long as they are 6 feet apart and have snacks outside. They do not have to eat in the classroom.
Okay.
And we would encourage them to take them out.
So to confirm, it sounds like whether we choose in-person or remote, the actual amount of instruction is going to decrease, since either way there is only 3 hours of instruction and there is a focus on socialization. Is that correct?
There's a, yes, I mean, there is not a decrease in instruction. There is we have a period of time now that we focus on social emotional learning with our students. It's not something new that we're going to start just because we're transitioning back to school. That is something that we do now. Remember, our teachers are doing synchronous altogether and asynchronous, and it's still going to be the same even when we return. So our students that get that in person for in the morning are going to continue with their work at home. And those students that are doing online, they will get direct instruction with the teacher for a certain amount of time. But when the teacher is not with them, they will be doing asynchronous. So nothing is being reduced.
Okay. Could parents in the same class organize beforehand, before they answer their questionnaire, to get the original teacher?
Organize, I'm not sure what that means. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Can you? I don't know.
Let's see.
I like how you're getting
I know,
creative though.
very
That's
creative.
good. I mean, that'll make my job easier in regards to organizing classes.
So don't worry, the family that's concerned about their questionnaire, we're gonna get back to you about that. You need to
Okay.
it. Do we choose which cohort our kids are going to be in? And if not, how will it be chosen?
I believe you put down what your preference is on the program selection. And that's what we go by in regards to organizing our classes.
How is recess or playtime supervised? Are the children distanced all day and not allowed to play together?
They are not to mix with other cohorts, but they still need to maintain the social distancing within their own cohort. They will be supervised by our supervision staff, by adults. That 20 minutes that they have recess time or play time, that is a duty-free time for the teacher. So other instructional aides or our supervision staff will be helping with the supervision.
Someone wanted to have pictures of the classroom set up, which we did show. Maybe you could pop back on that slide.
You know, I didn't have one for our primary because we hadn't done any, but let me see if I can.
I think we've answered most of these.
But this is a primary. Our kindergarten class, I'm going to have to lower the tables. This is an upper grade classroom.
Okay. I think we got through most of it. How will non-compliance be handled? I guess meaning like things on the checklist or.
So we have, you know, we have to have it posted in the office. So if there is it, and we get visits to make sure that we have everything in place. So definitely if we are not in compliant with something, we would get, you know, that would be reported.
Or for example, let's say a parent or a student refuses to wear their mask or they're not social distancing.
We would handle that administratively and we would speak with the family. But it is a requirement that all staff and all students are wearing masks throughout the day.
Okay, here's a math question.
A math? Oh,
It's like a word problem. No. Let's say Miss Smith has 24 kids. She has 8 in the morning and 10 in the afternoon.
Mhm.
And there are 6 virtual students. Will it be a different teacher?
Could be, yes.
This is the standardized testing, these questions. We're taking the standardized. Yes, that's a good question.
That is a good question. And that's where it's gonna,
Here's another one. Is there a threshold on the number of COVID cases in a certain period that will cause the school to close?
well, I know that they're looking at the tiers. You know, we're looking at the purple tier, whether we're in the continue to be in the purple tier and we need to move to the red tier in order for, you know, us to return to schools. I don't know exactly what the percentages or the numbers, you know, for us to move up. But definitely, I would assume that if for whatever reason, the COVID numbers started to rise again, that they would shut us down again.
Are all the fifth grade teachers coming back in person for at least one of the groups?
As far as I know, all my teachers are returning.
Okay. I think we've hit the end of
Well,
our,
you all have been very patient.
you guys are amazing.
Thank you for all of your questions. I wish I had a little more clarity, but I think, well, the good news is it looks like we are close to returning to school, and that's what we want. And we want to open our doors, and we certainly want to make sure that we have everything in place and that our families feel comfortable sending their kids to school. And we want our children and our staff to be safe. So thank you for all your amazing support. And we will continue to reach out and share any information that we receive. And please give us a call if there was something that was not clear, or if you need help with getting on the Daily Pass or the parent portal. And if you just need any information, we are here. Please give us a call. So thank you very much for joining us. Have a great weekend. And don't forget to spring forward, move those clocks forward. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Mrs. Matthews.
I know, I'm just answering something, so
Don't disconnect you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right, I think we're good.